All right. So now we're on to part two of the gifted storyboard. So last time where we left off, we introduced the main character, Sarai, and a little bit of the background of the story. So we're going to take a break from that narrative and rather talk more about the history and story of Gifted. So I already have some of this written down, but we're going to start off with talking about the Centurion Incident, which is the most important event of the whole story. I'll put an asterisk on that. It's really the big point of what sets this world apart from the other, from the world we live in right now. So there is a departure from history, and it begins with World War I. As I already wrote down, we have gifted soldiers actually in the battlefield at this point. Now, gifted people aren't nearly at the 50-50 ratio as we see in the modern or the part where we are introduced to Sarai, but it's still common enough that about 1 in 10 soldiers will have a gift. And so right here, I was trying to draw trench warfare kind of style going on right here. And the big departure is the death toll that was so catastrophic in World War One that called it, the first Great War. Is that they were using such horrible weapons as bombs, more like mustard gas. Of course, mustard gas wasn't actually yellow, but for this example, like let's say something like that existed, right? Well, instead of someone like a scientist coming up with mustard gas, in this story, it was actually a gifted soldier that had an ability like it, creating toxin that would have done that. And of course, one soldier like that, if left without any opposition, can easily cause such a catastrophic death toll. And so stuff like this was very common. And of course, you can see the first instance of gifts being used in the battlefield. So that's World War One right there. It was a big event, but it wasn't huge enough to create such publicity because, again, it was in isolated cases. So now we have World War Two. This is where the gifted situation goes too far, where we have politics. So first off, it will be considered canon in this story that a man like Hitler actually was a gifted individual. So the whole concept of Nazis and how they were so influential and so powerful was because the man that, of course, is Hitler, actually used his gift, which will be some kind of psychological gift, to manipulate the people. So, as we all know, Hitler was extremely charismatic. That's how he was able to seize control of everything and, establish the Nazi Party. So, in this story, it will be known that he did it because he had a gift. Not even just a gift, a very powerful one, where anyone he could talk to will be drawn to him and convinced to really follow him. And so that's where we get the reason why World War II happened, is because you have a character who used his ability to cause such a great war. And also, we are also going with the idea that because powers are being used, we're going to follow the same idea that technology is stifled. So the idea of nukes is non-existent. So we don't have nukes anymore. So the bombs that were launched on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not actually bombs. We're still going to have the idea that the United States and the Allies win, but through different means. This way, we used weaponized, I guess we would call them heroes at this point, or just weaponized soldiers, soldiers with gifts. So weaponized, gifted soldiers. It finally is given a term, and it's used on both sides. The Nazis, of course, had Hitler and their forces, stuff like that. But we are going with the difference that instead of the United States dropping a bomb, it used weaponized, gifted soldiers to win the war. Now, the exact means of how that happens is not really determined yet. It's not too important, but now we go into the Cold War. So this is where we go really different from history. So instead of course, since nukes don't exist, nukes in history are going to be replaced with gifted. So instead of a arms race, you have a gifted race. So now a nation wants to seek power through its arsenal of gifted people. So now gifted people become a weapon and a source of power to a nation. So now gifted people are considered not really people at this point. They're lusted over, hungered over, chased after because of what influence they can make on history. They are the melding of a weapon and a person. That's exactly what they are, is they are weapons and they are a symbol of power. And then, of course, the epitome of the Cold War is, of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, obviously, we will just replace the term missile with gifted. So instead of a secret stash of missiles being